Hello and welcome to episode 23 of our Hearts of Iron 3 Puppet Master series. Last time, the big news was the United Kingdom folded and is now our puppet, which hasn't meant a lot so far. They basically don't have much of an army, they've got a decent navy, but they don't have much of an army, so they're not helping me out against the Soviet Union. But they've got a lot of industrial resources, and they've got all the manpower of India. So hopefully, very soon, they will be a very powerful ally to have on our side. Otherwise, we're continuing to fight the Soviet Union, and we've actually made some really solid gains against the Soviet Union in central Poland in the last episode. But we aren't doing so well in Romania. But hopefully we can kind of work on that a bit this episode. Anyway, let's see how it goes. So what you can see here is that, all fighting in Iraq, I've got all these new Middle Eastern allies now. I forgot to mention them. New Jordan, Palestine, Iraq, Egypt. And they will be helping me out fighting against Iraq here, although probably not because I don't have a lot of troops. And of course, with the United Kingdom now being my ally, I've actually just instantly gained a huge chunk of East Africa. And hopefully they can start, moving into Ethiopia and getting rid of that for me. But the Eastern Front still has to be my main priority. My SS Corps has been moving south into Romania to try and deal with the Soviet push towards Bucharest. And they must be getting close. Somewhere. In there somewhere is my SS Corps. It actually looks like my allies are still pushing forward even without my assistance in Poland. And Oman and Yemen took some land off me, but that's okay. I couldn't hold that. Those were territory I gained from the British, but there's no way I could hold those lands. Same as Ethiopia's been doing a bit, taking land off Italy actually. Treaty with the UK. I'm at war with Ethiopia, but they're not actually part of an alliance. Just checking that's what objectives my African army group has, or my African theatre has. And it looks like we're just not fighting South Africa at all at the moment, or Ethiopia really, or Liberia. But Iraq's still close, probably just got to capture Baghdad. In Turkey, I don't need to send spies to the UK anymore. And I'm still trying to disrupt the national unity, so I'll support the ruling party, try and make up for that a bit. Really don't particularly want to weaken my allies. Just investigating, invading Turkey. I've kind of got the idea here that I want to start up a second front against the Soviets. Just to try and draw some of the Soviet resources away from Poland. So I'm looking at Turkey. It won't have to take very much to actually force it to surrender. Unfortunately, Istanbul's a big objective, so I'm going to have to attack out of Bulgaria kind of thing. I was also thinking, because I've got these African troops, it would also give them something to do as well. Since they aren't really fighting in South Africa like they should be. I should also mention the other big thing that happened last episode is we ran out of manpower. Which actually should be really limiting my ability to do offences, but in my mind it doesn't. Is this close? Almost into Romania. Yeah, just try and drive for Odessa, I think, and hopefully trap a fair few Soviet divisions here. I don't really have the number of divisions to do it, but Hopefully my allies and the AI will back me up. And yeah, definitely pushing forward out of Lvov there. You actually managed to capture Brest-Litovsk and Lvov in the last episode, and it's been a very long time since we've held both of those cities. And from there it's actually not that far to Moscow. As I say, I am a bit optimistic at times. Still a lot of Soviet troops between me and Moscow. Actually, I think we're basically on the border where the Germans started their invasion in 1941, historically speaking. And it only took them, what, 5 months to get close to Moscow? And actually it looks like my allies are doing a decent job of beating back the Soviets in Romania even. Oh, we've captured Baghdad. Not quite enough to force them to surrender though, so we obviously have to capture Mosul. Okay, that shouldn't be too difficult. And I believe Iraq is actually the leader of the Allies at the moment, so that's also a good country to knock out. There we go, conquered Iraq. Well, made them our puppet. So don't need the UK there anymore, or any of our Middle Eastern allies. Just wondering what we're going to use all these allies for now. Set Ethiopia as an objective. Might as well. Iraq. And probably the UK as well. Well, since the UK shares a border with Ethiopia, it is a good place to get them to attack. And South Africa as well. I really want this African campaign to do something, but they just don't. But yeah, things are going well in Romania, even without my SS troops actually getting actively involved. But they have arrived, so we'll start doing things with them. Yeah, I think actually straight drive to Odessa will probably do the trick. Oh, I missed my SS troops. Well, because remember I was building new SS divisions, so now I've just got to find them. Unfortunately, because they all start in Berlin, they're going to be fairly near there. I think I had four SS divisions to find. There's another one, it's 3. Nope. Nope. This is always the downside of doing the automatically assigned units. Oh, this guy's got no general. Wait, here we go. Yeah, that's a very good general, but you might as well have it. Maybe it was only 3. Other thing that's probably worth mentioning is that while I've got no manpower, I've actually got a lot of manpower tied up in my production queue. Which means that it's really just the reinforcements I can't do, but I'm still churning out new divisions. And I think I will be for quite some time actually. Yeah, it must have only been 3 SS divisions. Or if it was more, I can't find it. In my AI, I can just have a powerful division. Oh, and now of course, I've got most of my SS troops in Romania where I want them, but a few of them are completely not. I'll just rename them, because that's what I do. Well, I do occasionally call them by their names, but usually it's... oh, often it's also by their commanders, these divisions. But I like to keep it all organised and tidy. And yeah, okay, there's a better general there. Thing is, giving these guys decent generals to start with is good. But I use them so much that the generals I have in them are going to get awesome anyway. But yeah, tricks is a very good trait to have. And I'll just ignore those new ones and just get into attack as if they were in the right area. And that's the first SS Corps. And now... well, actually, it's not. It's the second SS, and this is the first SS. Just second can push a little way into the Soviet lines, and the first will head straight in towards Odessa. And hopefully we'll overrun or surround a few of the Soviet divisions here. My allies are doing a pretty good job of pushing them back without my help, so hopefully the SS joining in here will be enough to break the front. Oh, and we've actually pushed up to the old Soviet border. So hopefully it won't be long till we start moving into Soviet territory. Yeah, better set it to attacking. I had set it back to defensive to try and preserve my manpower, but with the Soviets on the way out, might be a bit optimistic, but at least they're on the way out of our allies' land. It's time to start pushing, I think. Nope, nothing happening in South Africa yet. Got lots of troops on the border there, but that's about it. Nothing happening in Ethiopia. So I'm declaring war in Liberia here, mainly to try and... because I suspect that the UK isn't fighting South Africa and the like. So I was hoping that by declaring war on Liberia it would kind of force into my wars. But unfortunately Liberia joins the communists, which doesn't actually do what I want. I wanted it to join the Allies so that the UK would fight them. Yeah, see, the UK's only at war with the Soviet Union. I think that's why we're not invading South Africa, because it doesn't want me to invade them from neutral territory. Oh, we've actually almost captured all of Romania. Well, almost retaken. There we go. One more province to go. And my SS troops actually did very little there. So let's just grab these guys again, give them new orders to... oh yeah, let's just surround Odessa. And there's the other one, can just move into there and they'll be the main strike force to take Odessa eventually. As you see, some of those new divisions are taking a very ambitious route to Odessa by going through the Soviet lines and travelling behind them, but good luck to them. We should actually do something with my ministers at some point, because I don't think I've ever changed them. But it's not that big a deal. Oh, and we haven't even tried to puppet the Soviet Union. Looking at acquiring some land. I kind of want to set up some puppet states in, well, the Western Soviet Union, like Belarus and Ukraine. But I'm not seeing any of the places I want here, except for possibly... yeah? Oh, I might as well take it. But apparently I didn't notice that I haven't tried to puppet the Soviet Union. Oh, see, I'm already doing Drangnak Austin and conquer, well, land. Yeah, acquiring territory. The Soviet Union is trying to conquer me. But Drangnak Austin's probably got all the land I wanted, so we'll just puppet them. I'll puppet Mongolia. Okay. So my SS guys are starting to move around Odessa. But my allies are trying to attack it, which could be problematic if my SS don't manage to surround the town in time. Oh no, I think they'll get there quickly enough, even if my allies do force the Soviets out. And there's the first Soviet troops withdrawing. Just need to get those divisions moving quicker. Actually, most of the Soviet troops are falling back. And just want to take a quick look at the size of my allies' armies. And where's the UK? Way down. And their army is mostly infantry, it looks like. So that's not too bad, but what kind of all the people you'd expect? Italy's moving up. I did, of course, destroy Italy's army. Poland's there, Yugoslavia's there. Lots of people way down the south there. Ireland's actually really huge, but Ireland, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have any transport boats. Their troops are all stuck in the United Kingdom. So they're a very good ally, and here's my new ones, and Luxembourg. But Israel, Jordan and the like are all very low. Again, nothing's happened against Liberia. Can't use the neutral territory argument against them because France has a border with them. And it doesn't look like we're actually going to overrun any troops moving into here, but well, that's okay, we still captured Odessa. And the Soviets are going backwards, which is the main thing. And now, the front's fairly open here. Or at least just in the very south. So the question is, what do I do with my SS troops? I'm just going to leave that division going and send them. I see I've got a bit of a... Basically the plan at the moment is just kind of charge forward and capture some of these cities and just force the Soviets back to defend them, and hopefully that will break open the front. It only really works if your opponents are kind of falling back already, or kind of at least seeming like they're going to. And just, yeah, forcing a few of their troops off the front lines to go deal with my pushes in towards Kiev and whatever that second city was, will hopefully be enough that my allies can just tear the front line open. Don't really need to have Warsaw as an objective anymore. And probably can also get rid of Lvov and Odessa. One downside of having so many puppets is that you have to go and do this a lot. And Odessa. I think we should add some more here. Dnipropetrovsk. No idea how you're actually supposed to say that. It's too long for me to pronounce and too Russian. Although I'm pretty sure it's in the Ukraine nowadays, but I don't know. I don't know. Kiev, definitely in the Ukraine. And we'll get everyone going there. And yeah, I think just a big push in the south here is what we're going to want to do. And the thing is, since the Soviets are also starting to be driven back across a fairly narrow front here, it also means that I kind of want to actually make the front wider. If you understand what that means, it's just the Soviets having trouble holding a small front, so they're going to have even more trouble holding a wide front. Which means that for now, I want to kind of push in the south, and it's going to effectively lengthen the front and make it harder for the Soviets to defend. Just open up more gaps for my troops and my allies to pour through, because we've obviously managed to get a numerical advantage here somehow. Probably just wore down their troops. Saw lots of those weakened divisions. They probably actually just ran out of manpower, to be honest. Which seems a bit ridiculous, but my divisions do have a lot of firepower. And of course my allies have a lot of manpower. It's basically... Actually, yeah, it is the whole of Europe versus the Soviet Union at this point. So there are a lot of soldiers on my side. So maybe it's not as ridiculous as it seems. And the Soviets also have radar, which is something I've never bothered doing. I just find that it comes too late in the game, and by the time you can actually start building radar, I've got better things to do with my production queue, which is actually something I'm looking forward to in Hearts of Iron 4, because in that game, radar stations and other infrastructure things are built by different factories than the ones that build your tanks and your guns and stuff. So it would make it more viable for me, at least, to build radar stations in the game, because it won't take away from my producing tanks. Near negative 100 soldiers. Let's see, I've got these divisions up at the top here, which if I got rid of them, I could probably actually get all my troops to be, fully manpowered. Fully reinforced is the thing I'm looking for. Yeah, probably looking around to build new things here, because I'm getting kind of towards the end of my production queue, but I can't do anything that uses manpower. So I'm just going to build a lot of convoys. I'm already building a lot of convoys, but I'm going to build a lot more convoys. Just to try and keep my factories building something useful. And yeah, our SS is pushed into Dnipropetrovsk. Which actually, now that I think about it, I think it's one of the places that the Ukraine and Russia are fighting over at the moment. Although, of course, officially it's not Russia, but we all know it's Russia. I'm just going to move my SS troops around a bit into a bit of a defensive position along the river line here. And I've got the Swiss coming back, or coming up, to help defend the supply lines for my SS troops. While my other SS corps is heading to Kiev with a lot of allied support. Oh, it looks like we've done an amphibious landing in the Crimea as well. So that was very good of us. Very ambitious, especially with garrison troops. But, as I said, we want to extend the front, so good on you, AI. It looks like we've also started pushing into the Soviet Union in the north of Poland as well. As we've retaken almost all of Poland that we lost. It looks like the Hungarians have managed to reach the front, as well as the Swiss. Still some land in the back here that I'd prefer there were troops defending. It looks like the 1st Division's reaching Kiev. I mean, the 1st SS Division, it's not the first SS Division, it is the first of the SS Divisions to reach Kiev, and they've actually just been surrounded. But I've got plenty of allies, so, well, there we go, they've just been unsurrounded. And they can continue to push into Kiev. Oh, there's actually lots of Soviet troops there if we could surround them. But downside of using the AI and my allies is that they actually just don't do encirclements, they just push forward constantly. It makes encirclements difficult. Oh yeah, look at their manpower losses recently. See, I've probably been overrunning a lot of Soviet divisions in this push, or myself and my allies, and they've lost a lot. And well, I've just taken Kiev. Well, that river line's actually a good defensive line, but I'm not really feeling in the mood to defend right now. I probably should, as I said, manpower shortages. But the Soviets obviously have it worse than me somehow. You've got a nice long front line here, and the Soviets aren't really defending it effectively. But since we've taken Kiev, no longer need to have that as an objective. And yes, I am setting everyone, so I'm expecting Palestine to send troops over here. I mean, they actually can't because Turkey is neutral. And there we go, Rostov-na-Don will be the next objective. I'm just going to do it the same way, just send my SS forward and let my allies back me up and do the pushing the Soviets back. And yeah, we don't need Dnipropetrovsk as an objective anymore. So those guys are going to go to Rostov-na-Don, and well, I don't really want to head on towards Moscow because that's kind of going to shorten the front. I want to make it longer, as I said. So where shall I go? Because I've got one corps heading towards Rostov-na-Don, that's fine, and Kursk? Yeah. Create a nice long front from northern Poland down to Kursk. So we'll make that an objective. And now we've actually, moved the headquarters forward a bit because that's way back. I was going to say, I've got a bit of an issue now. My first offensive worked pretty well because my SS troops made multiple penetrations in the line because they were coming from multiple directions, which my allies were able to push through, but now they're kind of concentrated, which means it's going to be a more traditional blitzkrieg push, where they're all starting from one spot, well, almost, and pushing straight through. Which does mean it's going to be a bit easier for the Soviets to counter, just because they only have to counterattack, or they only really have to hold in one spot. Oh no, it's not quite. Oh well. No, it is true here. They're all in Kiev, and then it's the headquarters division which is going to be attacking all by itself on a different route. Got a few supply situation. Oh no, they're just gone. Temporarily we had supply issues. Probably actually just having to send all the supplies forward to get my SS troops advancing. But you can see in both areas it's going in from a single area or in a single line of advance. So the Soviets should find it very easy to actually encircle my SS troops here if my allies don't push up aggressively. Well, my allies and my AI. It's actually mostly my allies at this point. I've got lots of German divisions here, but I imagine they're all fairly weak. But my SS are moving rapidly, and yeah, I'm not using them to... Oh, we managed to surround the division there. I suppose the main thing is I've got over the river line, which makes it easier for my allies to also cross it. Yeah, more Soviet troops with heavy manpower losses. So I really think that is what's happened. I think the Soviets have just run out of manpower. Oh, we're actually already attacking Rostov-na-Don. So we got there very quickly. And there's some fighting down in Liberia, which is good. The African army should be doing something. Yeah, it looks like the Soviets are falling back still. Could just be sending lots of troops back to deal with my SS guys. But even if that's all they're doing, I'm kind of okay with that, because it's going to make it a lot easier for my allies. And we'll leave it there. So this has actually been a pretty impressive change. Well, the first decent advance we've had since we've been fighting the Soviet Union, really. We've finally managed to break their front. It really just seems like they don't have the manpower to actually sustain or to hold their front line anymore. So I mean, that's awesome. And we've just driven deep into the Ukraine. We've managed to retake almost all of Poland. We took all of Romania back. And hopefully we'll be able to knock the Soviet Union out fairly soon. I mean, there's still a lot of troops, still a lot to do. But this is very promising. Very promising. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.